Akio looked at his grandfather as if he was trying to decipher a puzzle. He couldn't understand why his grandpa always had such a cold gaze and why he always seemed so scared. After Akio's parents left him under the care of his grandpa, the boy's life was never the same. He could not walk 2 steps without causing his grandpa to scream. Akio was constantly worried that something bad could happen to him or his grandpa, and he was just a boy. He just wanted to play and have fun. The very first thing his grandpa told him as soon as he entered his house was never step on the river. Akio couldn't believe it. His grandpa didn't even say hi. The boy was 7 years old and they had only seen each other in 2 occasions. And all the grandpa could think of saying was to not go into the river? Well, I'll go anyways, thought the boy. However, as the days went by, Akio discovered that there was something else going on. His grandfather was so sad that his eyes barely showed any semblance of life. And so one day, while Akio was very bored and wanting to know the truth, he asked his grandpa directly, "Why are you always so sad?" However, the grandpa would not speak so easily. A couple of months had to go by where Akio would follow his grandfather's orders without protest and gradually earn his trust. And so, while they were eating dinner one night, the grandpa finally told Akio the terrible story of what happened. The grandpa had 2 sons. One of them was Akio's father, while the other one passed away. Akio was told several times that his uncle died after falling from a cliff, and he never asked anything more about it. But the truth of his death was much more heart-wrenching. The grandpa loved to go fishing, so one afternoon he grabbed his oldest son by the hand and took him to the river. They spent a very pleasant afternoon together, but at the end, everything went wrong. As they were packing their things, the grandfather saw how his son was completely paralyzed with his feet in the river's water, looking at a strange creature hiding behind some bushes. The grandpa stepped closer to see what it was, and when he figured it out, it was too late. A creature the size of a child but with the body of a frog was now dragging his son into the depths of the river. The grandpa knew it was a kappa, so he immediately bowed at it. He was taught that the kappas could be killed doing that, but it was too late. The kappa had drowned his son. Akio was shocked after hearing that story. But that wasn't all. When the grandfather went back home after that horrible event and told his wife what happened, she became insane and never recovered her sanity. And just a couple of years later, she also passed away. Welcome to a new Scary Tuesday, TikTakers. Today, we want to talk about a creature from traditional Japanese folklore known as the kappas. Depending on the region, they are also known by different names, such as kawappa, gawappa, kōgo, mizushi. And yes, TikTakers, they are a kind of yokai. We have talked about the yokai before in another video. A kappa is a water demon that lives in Japanese rivers, ponds, and lakes. They are humanoid, and in some illustrations, they can also look like monkeys. They are sometimes drawn with or without a turtle shell, and most of the time they are depicted as creatures with a reptile appearance. The most important aspect of a kappa's body is that they have a water container in their skull, which is supposed to be their life source. Thus, if it dries up, the kappa will die unless it can refill it with water. And that's precisely why one way to kill them is bowing at them. Kappas are very well-mannered, so they will bow back, resulting in the water in their skulls pouring out of it. And if a human helps them refill their container, they will be forever grateful to that person. But don't be fooled, TikTakers. If there is something the kappas love, is eating children and cucumbers. And this is not a joke. In most stories, these demons are responsible for drowning many innocent children. They supposedly eat their shirikodama, some sort of sphere located in the children's intestines. And this sphere is not just physical, since it seems to contain the soul of the child. So in order to protect themselves, Japanese families would throw cucumbers to ponds and lakes, thinking they could keep their children safe that way. There is even a sushi variety called kappa, which is made with cucumber. And according to some traditions, the kappas can also be repelled using fire. According to some sources, the origin of these demons has to do with an old Japanese tradition which involved taking a baby who was born dead, putting their body in a small vessel, and then placing the vessel in a river to let it drift. It seems that nowadays, legends about the kappas have been sweetened a bit, and so people no longer find them as threatening as in the past. And throughout history, several temples were actually built in their honor whenever they actually helped a town. However, the original myths are still remembered around many rivers where warning signs can sometimes be found. So, TikTakers, after hearing about the kappas, would you still take a bath in a Japanese lake or river? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, and if you want to see more Draw My Life videos, subscribe to our channel. See you in the next episode!